And welcome back to Fourth and Pain, the only pro wrestling show to be hosted by an NFL player and a weight loss champion. He's Redskins defensive end Adam Carriker.
Howdy.
I'm former wrestling announcer turned weight loss champion Chuck Carroll. This Fourth and Pain, and Adam, we are coming off a thorough thumping of Philadelphia Eagles this past Sunday, 31-6, the most complete victory in the Shanahan era. Hard to say a lot bad that happened in that game. A few mistakes here and there, but a 31-6 victory, very good. Now all eyes focused on Dallas, another critical NFC East showdown, game 2 of 7, as you put it, over the weekend. We're joined by Zac Boyer of the Fredericksburg Free Lance-Star, one of the best in the business. And Adam, before we bring him on the line, and I want you to remind him of this, did you know that we launched his career at 106.7?
Well, I just have a question. I just have one question for Mr. Zac Boyer. What was it like to have your career launched by Fourth and Pain on 106.7 The Fan? What was that like?
You know, it's kind of funny because I walk outside now and I've just got these people taking photos all the time. I've got people demanding autographs, and the attention is just always on me. The endorsement deals are through the roof. It's been pretty good, I have to say, but you know, I'm kind of getting a little bit tired of it. I don't know if I can handle the pressure.
What's the most unusual place they've asked for a signature to be placed?
Oh, good Lord.
I mean, can we speak about those things on the air? I don't know exactly what we're looking for at this point. I mean, you know, we're going to get that beep button ready there, Chuck? I mean,
yeah, I got the delay ready.
What are we allowed to get?
Well, my last concern is this. You know, you talk about the endorsements and all this. So when do we get our cut? I believe Fourth and Pain gets, I think we get like 65% of all that comes on our show. Don't we get like 65%? Is that right?
I think it was 70%.
70%? That sounds fair.
We're going to have some lawyers. We're going to have my people meet with your people. We'll figure some things out.
Generous.
Sounds good.
In the meantime, I'm sitting pretty.
You know, you joke around, but in all honesty, is the day or two after we have him on Fourth and Pain, I'm driving home, and who's he on with? LeVar and Dukes. And I'm dying laughing.
Well, I'll be honest with you. We just appreciate him taking time schedule from LeVar and Dukes and, you know, writing, you know, all the articles he has to write and taking time to join us. So we really appreciate it, Zac. Thank you.
And I appreciate you guys for taking the time from horsing around all day to have me on.
Oh, yeah, man. That's all we do. We horse around.
That is all I do. I have a horse downstairs, and I pretty much just ride around on it.
Oh, good Lord. The show has fallen off the rails, and we're 2 minutes
I actually do have
in.
a horse downstairs. It's for my daughter. I do not, however, fit on it, though.
All right, boys. Well, let's talk a little pigskin and leave the horses in the barn, shall we? Zac, like I said, a complete win. But now the Washington Redskins defense, which performed at its best, granted against a lowly Philadelphia Eagles squad on Sunday. Brandon Merriweather, he comes out. He does big things Sunday, but then he injures his knee. Shanahan comes out Monday, says torn ACL, done for the year. What does this do for the Washington Redskins secondary moving forward?
Well, I think it does quite a bit. I mean, you look at this guy who's a two-time Pro Bowler, wasn't necessarily the best fit in the world in Chicago last year, comes on out to the Redskins, signs a 2-year contract to kind of reestablish himself. And he had setback after setback after setback with that knee. And he gets in a position now where he's able to start making some plays, making his debut, going out there. I think he had six of the first 15 tackles for the team the other day. And ends up really just flying around that field, playing with physicality, playing with aggression, playing with excitement, energy, all the other positive, uplifting things you can look at. And then, you know, early on in the third quarter, all it takes is just one simple non-contact planting of the foot, and he goes down in a heap. And I think it's a very tough blow, obviously, for him. You know, you play one game in a year. Adam, you know how this is. One game in a year is just an awful, awful situation for anybody. But you look at what he was doing out there to be so productive so quickly, and to have that all taken away from him so suddenly, it's just an unfortunate situation. What they'll end up doing is they'll go with some combination of Reed Dowdy and Dejon Gomes, as they have in the previous 9 games, and just hope that they're good enough. They're definitely experienced enough to be able to carry that secondary through, which was a pretty good defensive performance against the Eagles.
Well, Adam, you know, you got a chance to see this guy on Sunday, and you and I discussed this earlier in the week when we thought he was going to have a shot to come back and be healthy, even on Thursday, because he said after the game he didn't come back in. It was just a precautionary measure. So now we find out that he's got a torn ACL. You suffered another non-contact injury yourself, but I want to know, like, what the hell happened? Why is he so snake-bitten here? This is just a freak occurrence.
Well, I feel bad for the guy because I see him in the training room, and it's been tough on him. Honestly, it's been tough on him. You can tell he's been working to get better, but his spirits have been down a little bit. But as the closer to the end of the bye week got, you could see he was getting excited. You could see he was ready to play, and you can see what he's capable of doing. Like Zac said, 2-time Pro Bowler. He went out and he played well. It's just kind of a freak non-contact thing. I'm really glad he didn't go back in the game now, and they were being cautious because who knows what he could have done since they didn't know he had torn his ACL yet. And a little correction, it was a contact. I was hitting the guard on that play when I got hurt, but it wasn't like a vicious double team or anything.
And Zac, let me ask you this. I mean, the Redskins secondary, after Merriweather leaves Sunday, they go out, they still handle business. They're able to limit a rookie quarterback against a reeling Philadelphia Eagles team that some have accused to say they gave up, to be brutally honest. But now they turn their attention. This same secondary is going into Dallas against Tony Romo, a seasoned quarterback, lots of experience there. This team yet to win in the new Cowboys Stadium. If you're Tony Romo and the Dallas Cowboys, are you licking your chops a little bit, or at least breathing a little bit of a sigh of relief?
Well, I think if you're Tony Romo and it's week 6, I think you're pretty excited because the Redskins had a pretty ugly stretch there of allowing a lot of passing yards. If you look at what they've done the past 3-4 games, even against the Giants, if you want to go back that far, the passing defense has gotten a lot better. Defense overall has gotten a lot better. I think you saw a significant pass rush from the front seven in the area against the Eagles. It really helped them out. I think it's gotten a little bit more complete as guys get a little bit more adjusted to what they're doing. Obviously, Adam, you not being out there, but also losing Arakpo is a little bit tough. Kind of takes the pass rush that was so strong for that team last year and softens it a little bit as Jenkins tries to get familiar with his role as essentially a rookie because he missed all of his rookie year. And then Rob Jackson tries to work in there on the outside. I think Tony Romo certainly would be a little bit more excited if this was the team that was allowing 350 passing yards a game early on in the season. But that number has been significantly dropped. Cam Newton threw for 201 yards. Nick Foles threw for 204 yards. And I think off my top of my head, I think about 50 of those were in that last drive when things don't really matter. So I think it's a pass defense that's gotten a lot better. And I think that certainly with some of the injuries the Cowboys have, it's going to be a little more difficult for Romo to have that protection, especially on the line. It's going to give him all that time that he needs to throw that ball out to his receivers. And I think, if this was, September 30th, sure, maybe the Cowboys would have had the chance to throw the ball around a little bit more, but I think these guys finally know exactly what it is they're required to do and what they're expected to do, and they've been able to do it lately.
Well, I wouldn't go sleeping on the safeties that we still have. I mean, DJ Gomes, a Nebraska guy like myself, he actually... Yeah, absolutely. But he won defensive player of the game after we played the Saints that first game because he played so well. And then Madhu's been a good, consistent player. And Reed to me, he's the most underrated guy on our team. He's constantly making plays on special teams, as is Lorenzo Alexander. But he's one of the smartest, headiest guys on this team, and he doesn't get credit for what he does. So I wouldn't go sleeping on the guys we do have. We're definitely going to miss Brandon, though.
No doubt. And Zac, we're speaking to Zac Boyer of the Fredericksburg Free Lance-Star. Be sure to follow him on Twitter at Zac Boyer. And while you're following people, follow us at 4th
Follow
and
me.
10. Yeah, what the hell? Follow us. Thanksgiving Day. I think, Zac, it's unrealistic to expect an encore performance on the level of what the Redskins defense was able to do Sunday against the Philadelphia Eagles. The last time they held an opponent without a touchdown in a win was Week 16 of 2008. I don't foresee that happening in Dallas, but I don't also think that the Redskins are without a shot at winning on Thanksgiving Day on the road in a hostile environment. Why? Because having watched a little bit of that Dallas Cowboys Cleveland Browns game this past weekend, that's a game that Dallas easily could have lost. And this is a team that I'm not 100% sold on. And I know that there's a little bit of heat on Jason Garrett down there in Dallas.
Yeah, I think exactly the situation you mentioned, especially coming off of a Browns game that was so lethargic, certainly doesn't help the Cowboys at all. But this is Thanksgiving week. And, we talked to Stephen Bowen during the course of the week, who played for the Cowboys for 5 years and knows what it takes to have that turnaround to play on a Sunday game that have the big Thanksgiving festival that they have down there in Arlington. And what it takes to kind of mentally get your mind wrapped around playing a game so quickly after the other one. And you look at this coaching staff, and I think they've got themselves in a pretty good position to be ready to play this game. They spent a portion of the bye week looking at film from the Cowboys from earlier on in the year, looking at what they can do. Obviously they know them because they're a division opponent, but things change from week to week. And they kind of applied that a little bit forward, kind of took a little borrowed time and used that time off to study up on what these guys are going to be able to do. So, yeah, okay, they've got 3 days to turn around, but they actually took a little bit of preparation earlier on before the Eagles game to make sure they were in a good position. And everybody seems like that's been beneficial. And the Cowboys themselves also are playing on 3 days rest, so it's not like it's an unfair advantage there. Yeah, you look at what it means, too. It's certainly going to be a high-profile game, a nationally televised game. The first chance, I think, all of America will get to see Robert Griffin III play, which I'm sure will be a treat for most of the people who had. But you also look at the fact that if the Redskins are able to win this game, which is totally plausible, you've also got a Giants team that's in first place that's playing the Packers on Sunday, and that's a strong case. The Packers could totally win that game. And a week later on a Monday night, you've got the Giants playing the Redskins at that game at FedEx Field for first place in the NFC East. So, yeah, I mean, we've talked for a significant amount of time about the stretch run and the conference games or the division games rather and what they mean. And the Redskins took care of business in that first one against the Eagles. They could do the same against the Cowboys and then set themselves up well to play the Giants next week. Really, who knows at this point where the fortunes may lie.
Zac, I've got 2 final questions for you. First, let's turn our attention over to the offense. Santana Moss, this is a guy that works hard in the offseason, comes back lighter, faster, really wants to make the squad, and is now going out. I believe he has 6 touchdowns on the season, not playing nearly as much as the younger receivers out there. But given the fact that he goes out there and he routinely is finding pay dirt, might we see him on the field a little bit more moving forward?
Well, I think that's going to be a little tough to say. I think right now with Garcon back, you've got another guy in the mix. Granted, they're still going to address the same number of receivers, but you figure the ball is going to go Santana Moss's way a little bit more than it would Desmond Briscoe's way, for example. And you figure with Garcon supposed to be the number 1 wideout, he'll get targeted a little more additional time than Moss would. But I think, Moss kind of carved himself into that flower tier role. He's going to get 20 to 25 snaps a game, and he's just going to make the most of it. 6 touchdown receptions for that guy is already more than he had last year, and we're just a little bit past the halfway point of this season. But he certainly relished the role, yeah. I think he's done a pretty good job with what limited opportunity he has, but he's also a veteran, a guy who knows what it takes to play in this league, a guy who's dedicated to prolonging his career. And I think he can certainly be a viable option for them, continue to be a viable option for them down the stretch.
And last question, and Adam, I actually want your input on this one as well. Robert Griffin III, rookie quarterback, obviously doing very impressive things all season long. But this is going to be, this is a nationally televised game, historic rivalry game, Redskins, Cowboys, Thanksgiving Day, millions and millions and millions of viewers. To be just layman about it, is he going to be ready for this challenge? Is he going to have extra butterflies in his stomach? How do you expect him to perform Thursday? Zac?
Well, it's also, you forget too, it's also right down the road in Dallas from his growing up in Copper's Cove and playing in Waco at Baylor. Yeah, I think he'll easily be able to handle that challenge. I think for him, the pressure is mostly going to be on him in New Orleans, and he handled that really well. Granted, the scheme, the offensive design that the coordinators came up with certainly prepared him well enough to play in that game with the success that he had. But he was also playing in front of all of his family. His family grew up in New Orleans. He had his parents, he had his grandmother, he had everybody there supporting him in his debut. I think if there was a game that he was going to be pressured by, it was certainly going to be that one. And he handled that test so masterfully. It's been 10 weeks. I don't think this game against Dallas is going to be any different for him. I'm sure that the size of the stage and the audience watching isn't going to face him at all.
Now, Adam, I know that you're not in the locker room nearly as much. You suffer the injury, but you're still in there. You get a chance to interact with them a little bit. What's your take on him? Is he ready for this?
I think so. Actually, I agree with everything he just said. It's not often that I agree with what comes out of the media, but I agree with what he just said perfectly. The toughest test.
Hey, you're one of us now.
Mm-hmm. To a certain extent. Not once next year's here, I'm gone, man. But no.
Wow.
Well, I'm still going to do the show. Just anyways.
Hurt my feelings.
Oh boy. We'll cuddle later. But the first game in St. Louis, New Orleans, that's when everyone wanted to see Robert Griffin. That was the Who Dat Nation was yelling at him. That's before the Saints. We knew they were going to struggle. That would have been the game for him to kind of have a tough time, and he did not have a tough time whatsoever. And I'll tell you, as a player, when you know, I guarantee he's going to have friends and family there, you know, just down the road from where he went to college, where he kind of grew up all over the place, but I know he's got a lot of friends down there. It gives you extra motivation. You want to show out, you want to show well in front of your friends and family, and being on a nationally televised game, that's just more motivation. And he does not seem like a young man who gets rattled to me very easily at all.
There you go. Zac Boyer, one of the best in the business. Appreciate your time.
Hey, guys. Thanks a lot, as always.
All right, we're fresh out of time here. I'm Chuck Carroll, former wrestling announcer turned weight loss champion.
I'm Adam Carriker. And every day I continue to have the largest arms on the D-line. Peace out, Fourth and Painters.